we're making some progress. I took some time yesterday and began making my stringers. If you didn't see it or don't remember, I've got to make a 12-foot stringer, and taking the old ones out showed me that there was a .708 wide trough left from the old fiberglass, which is the same width as a piece of 3/4 plywood. So I know a lot of people are going to say that I am overthinking and overkilling this whole thing, but I have a little bit of method to my madness in that I want the stringers to be all one piece. If I used plywood, then I would have had to scarf the joint together, and I know that that's a time-tested, true way to do it, but it seems like it's a lot harder, and it also has the joint, so I'm worried about potential weakness there. The other thing is the marine plywood is god-awful expensive. This material is Douglas fir, and I've said before, there's a fella not too far has a horizontal mill and a yard full of this stuff, and he can slice it any thickness that you want. So maybe I have an advantage in that he's real close by, but I think these guys are usually around somewhere. But at any rate, my idea was to kind of create my own plywood, and so I had to figure out the thickness. See if you can see that. That's the 3 layers with epoxy glue, and this is the 1808 biaxial cloth in between. So the result was very, very strong. It's pretty lightweight. I think it's lighter, maybe not lighter than plywood, but it's not heavy comparatively. So again, I'm doing this experiment to learn how to laminate, but also to get a real good idea on the final thickness. And I've been using dial calipers to measure my thicknesses, so hopefully at the end of all this it drops right down into the trough and I can do my fiberglassing and go away happy. So you were probably wondering, well, why didn't I film doing this? Well, I pushed the button and I didn't push it hard enough or something because it didn't record. But not to worry, I need to do another sample so I can find out what 2 layers is going to be. I didn't get these pieces cut to any particular thickness. They were just scraps that he had given me, and so, but I can basically judge how much extra thickness 1 layer of the 1808 plus fiberglass adds to it. Now, I did measure the wood for the 3-layer sandwich initially. I don't know if that's going to come through. It's very light pencil, really. But and I did my math and subtracted out the original, and what I came out with was about 43 thousandths per layer average. Both layers of fiberglass added .086. Take half of that and you get 0.043, which is interesting because the material itself measures hopefully about 0.72, somewhere like that. So it's starting off at 0.72 and finishing up at 0.43. Interesting. It's probably because the fiberglass kind of melts everything together. The other thing I wanted to share with you is how I clamped it. Now, I'm going to clamp, I've got a jig made for, or I'm going to make it putting the 12-foot long stringers together. I want everything straight and parallel and just perfect. But for these, I took a pair of parallel woodworking clamps, and I took a block of wood. This is the right thickness, and I kind of put it in there as a stop, and I went ahead and glued it like so. And so when you tighten everything down, the block will make it only as thick as you want it to. So that worked pretty well. There's a little difference between these two. The laminate, the plywood, actually turned out just a little bit thicker than this. But again, that was an experiment, a learning experience, so getting a little smarter all the time. So, I did have to do some experimenting with the epoxy hardener and resin to figure out how to make glue. We had done the how to make peanut butter a couple of videos ago, and so there's a difference in consistency that you want. The peanut butter, obviously by its name, has to be very, very thick, and if you can see this over here in this shot, we did all this stuff with peanut butter. The glue is just that. It needs to be thinner, about the consistency of ketchup, maybe a touch thinner is what I came up with yesterday, and that worked good. So what I'm going to do is mix up enough resin for this. It gave me about 35 minutes working time, and the recipe that I got to work was about 13 pumps of A and B, hardener and the resin, 5 scoops of silica, and that turned out to be about 6 ounces of material. Now 6 ounces turned out, and it was pure dumb luck, to be perfectly the amount for one layer. And again, that was pure dumb luck. I just guessed, but it turned out perfectly. So I did one, put it together, did the other, put it together, and I was still able to get it into clamps and have some working time. So all to the good on that. So let me go ahead and set up the camera on the fiberglass, and we'll mix that up. Alright, so first step is to mix up the fiberglass. I've got my Total Boat epoxy resin and medium hardener. We haven't talked about this, but there are different hardeners that give you more or less time to work. It also has an effect on the temperature that you're able to use to do the fiberglassing in. So I'm not going to go through all the specifics of that, but I thought I'd throw it out. Let's see, just a couple things that are working very well for me, and I don't want to forget. The first thing, these black gloves, and I'm not getting any money or any support from these people, so it's just a pure shout out. But these Venom steel, these are nitrile, which they hold up better to the chemicals, and they're not hard to get on, and they last a good amount of time, seems like anyway. So that's working well for me. Another thing that I'm very glad I did was to put this plastic down. This is 6mm plastic. It's good stuff. As a matter of fact, it's what the boathouse is made out of. So it's strong. And the nice thing is, whatever you spill on the surface, you can just kind of bend the plastic and it peels right off. So you can keep cleaning it. Alright, so to do a whole board, I figured out it was 13 pumps of each and 5 scoops of the silica. So since I'm only doing half of that, I can cut everything roughly in half. So, and just so you know, I've got some registration marks, so I know that this side matches and this side matches. So I'm going to go ahead and take measurements dry and then take them again wet. So the one registration mark, kind of wiggle it until you get the smallest reading, and that is 0.950. So 0.950 at that point. So we'll write that down. This is, oh, I'm sorry, I got another step first. I wanted to measure each board. And I'm going to measure at this location. So this is board, well, B. And we'll start with that, even though most people would start with A. And this guy is, darn, 0.5, right on the money. So board B, mark 1 is 0.500. Board B, mark 2 is 0.404. So again, these were scrap pieces that he cut for me. I didn't expect them or need them to be perfect. So let's write that down. Board B, mark 2, 0.404. Okay. And this is board A. And at the 1 mark, .378. And the 2 mark, .473. All right, so I am going to put the sandwich together. Oops. And I'm going to take that together at the 1 mark, and this is, it's not real spongy, but you're going to have to kind of bear with me. I'm going to just kind of grab it and squeeze it however much I think. Alright, a little wiggle there to get to the smallest reading. 0.950 at the 1 mark. And at the 2 mark, .970. Okay, that's enough of that. So let's get mixing.